Combat sports fans, welcome to another edition of Strong Style. I'm your host, Jeremy the Impact York, a little later in the week than we really wanted to be, but happy Halloween, happy All Saints Day to everyone. Man, it's been a week, and we've got so much to talk about here on the show. We're going to talk Halloween Havoc and all the amazing things that happened there. We're going to talk some NWA Power. We're going to talk some TNA. We're going to talk some AEW, and of course, we're going to start with UFC. But before we get into the UFC, I want to tell you guys that you can follow the show by going to our YouTube channel, Impact underscore Media underscore. Can't find it that way. You can look for Jeremy York. You can look for Strong Style. You can look for any of those. It should pop up, or you can find us on any of the social medias. The Impact 99. It will be me personally, and you will find us on any of those, along with any of our amazing programming. Also, we'll talk a little bit about the Mucha Lucha show at the end of this show and preview tonight's premier All-Star matchup just up the road from where we're at right now. Not out here near the studio, but let's get into some UFC. And it can't get any better or any big. It can get better, but can it get any bigger than UFC 321? We got to finally see Tom Aspinall defend his heavyweight crown against Cyril Gane. Or did we? We know Cyril Gane fights a particular way. I'm not going to completely blame him on this, but there was a few eye pokes, including one that went knuckle deep. And last I heard, Tom was still having issues seeing out of, I believe it's his, let's see the way you guys are looking at it, right eye. This right eye. So, man, but this ended it as a no contest, 4:35 into the first round. Our big main event. He finally got hyped. Aspinall finally gets a chance to defend the crown. And this. And so first off, we have to make sure his eye's okay. Like I said, we're still monitoring that. Don't know anything about it. Like I said, I can't say that Gane did it on purpose, because why would you do that? Because then it could get thrown out and you may never get another title shot. But Cyril Gane didn't do it on purpose. He has that way of fighting that, man, sometimes this happens. And it's awful. Tom was very, very upset in the back. He's been very upset since. I think Cyril Gane's tore up about it because, once again, I mean, what happens now? We don't know. We're going to just have to figure out what happens moving forward with all that. But, man, at least we got a show with the co-main event, which was Verna Jandrova versus Mackenzie Dern. Mackenzie Dern becomes your women's strawweight champion with a unanimous decision win. And my goodness, she's been on a media tour. She's been doing all the stuff. She got to bring her daughter in at the very end there, and just good stuff. Just absolutely good stuff. She worked hard, really fought hard, and Verna's no walk in the park, and she took her to the limits. But Mackenzie Dern, your new strawweight champion. Now, what else was there? Umar Nurmagomedov with the unanimous decision win over Mario Bautista. He had that one in the bag the whole way. I'm not sure why he didn't try to end it, but I think he knew he had it, and so he just kept it in control. Didn't want to take a lot of big risks. Alexander Volkov with a split decision win as a dog, by the way, over Gelson Almeida. That was a pretty good fight. I enjoyed it, not because it's a split decision. A lot of people would just look like, oh, well, must have been a good fight. Not always. Not decisions aren't always. But I felt like both of them had some good moments there. But in the end, Volkov won that fight, in my opinion. Almeida, if they line it up again, might have the advantage. But I think moving forward, Volkov is trying to march his way back into that title picture. And then Azamat Murzakanov gets the KO over Alexander Rakic. Caught him with the big punch, and that was the end of the night there. They went all the way to Abu Dhabi. Man, I hate that about the main event, but at least the rest of the card was smoking. The rest of the card was absolutely smoking. Now, I think as of today, in fact, as of recording, um, they may be actually fighting some of these fights because it is fight night. Nope, 4 o'clock. So we're not far before the prelims will start on ESPN Plus, and ESPN Plus at 7 will also have the will also have the main card. We are going to get Steve Garcia versus David Onama in the featherweight division. That is your main event. Garcia is a slight favorite. I will go Onama in the slight upset for that one. Not very familiar with these two, but what I do know, I think Onama is going to bring it a little bit more than Garcia will, and I think he'll get a really really good main event out of them. Hmm. Valdo Cortez Acosta at a plus 105 is going to take on Ante Delia. I know Delia from the PFL. He's quite a fighter, man. He's a heavyweight, and he will throw those cinder block hands. And I think he's the big wrestler, if I'm not mistaken. But Delia won some big fights in the PFL. Good to see him in the UFC. And Cortez Acosta going to have his hands full with that. Delia is the favorite. Give me Cortez Acosta. I will go dog and dog so far in this one. Jeremiah Wells versus Samba Garimbo. Garimbo is a minus 150, plus 125 for Jeremiah Wells. A lot of 50-50 fights in this one. I will buck the trend I've had so far. Give me Samba Garimbo in the welterweight division there. Featherweights, Isaac Dolgarian and Yadir Del Valle are gonna. That's a minus 250 to a minus 200 there. Give me Dolgarian because he's a slight favorite there, and I think these two are to really throw down. You're gonna get a lot of punches thrown in that particular fight. In the matchup number 5, these are all on ESPN Plus, of course. They all will be, but this is the main card. Charles Radke at minus 180 versus Daniel Frunza at plus 150. Give me Radke. Give me Radke just to, I don't know. I think that one's going to be close to. I think those are 5 fights that are very back and forth. And I think there's going to be a lot of strikes thrown. It's going to be really, really fun to watch. Other fights on the card worth watching: Alan Nascimento versus Cody Durden. You're gonna see Dante Johnson versus Cedric Dumas. Dumas. Ketlin Vieira versus Norma Dumont. That is a sleeper in the middle of that card. Alice Ardlian versus Montserrat Conejo Ruiz. Hope I said that right. And Phil Rowe versus Sequoia and Co. Those are going to be a lot of fun. UFC just firing on all cylinders as always they do. And now that moves us to World of Professional Wrestling. Halloween Havoc. NXT Halloween Havoc, they brought it. They brought it big time. They had some big time cameos. They had some really solid matches and events, and they had some surprising moments. A few of them got me a little bit. They really did. But we started off with Javon Evans versus Leon Slater. Actually, no. They paired up versus LA or La Parca and Mr. Iguana, 2 people I have met recently. I think, can we? There we go. There we go. All right. This was a really good match, especially to start everything off. Like I said, I've seen La Parca and Mr. Iguana live in the past couple months at a show I went to, and they are super fun. And I thought they completely brought it here, but you can tell that between TNA and NXT and WWE, Javon Evans and Leon Slater are 2 people they really want to push. Some people have said they're the modern Hardy boys. Why can't they be the first Javon and Leon? Can we call them Jaleon? Javion? Maybe so, but this was really good. They were flipping and flying, and a lot of double team fun action. And Mr. Iguana is always fun, and La Parca is just a classic. The new La Parca is he's fantastic. El Hijo de Dr. Wagner Jr. He had a busy weekend because he took on Ethan Page in a Day of the Dead death match, to which Ethan Page actually got the victory in it. Remember, I said he probably would. And then that was on Saturday. And on that very next Sunday, about 24 hours later, I got to meet him because he was at another show that I was at. And he was in the main event and did a fantastic job in that one. It's crazy that I was able to talk to him a little bit about this match, and I told him how much I enjoyed the match and that it was just crazy that we'd just seen him on TV the night before at a pay per view with Ethan Page, who was no pushover, and then he turns around here he is main event in the middle of Atlanta. But Ethan Page does get that one. He is on all cylinders right now. Ethan Page might be the best talent right now in NXT. That's my opinion. But he is one of the veterans who is holding this down. And the problem is it's hard to move him up into the Raw or SmackDown. It's hard to move him into that because he's holding it down so good down in NXT. But I would say in the not so distant future, I could see Ethan Page dropping the North American title and potentially making a move up. I can see that. We also got to see Blake Monroe versus Zarya, and Zarya was defending Sol Ruka, who is dinged up again, defending her North American Championship. Fun little stipulation. You don't get to see that very often where somebody is able to defend somebody else's title. But Zarya did a great job in this. It got to really showcase her one-on-one skills because it had pretty much been squash matches until she joined up with Sol Ruka. So I think Zarya is one of those untapped potential top talents. She could really blossom and bloom. We know at some point that Sol Ruka is probably going to get moved up to the top ranks. It may be delayed a little bit now because of this. I think it's a knee injury, but it wouldn't surprise me if Zarya were to accompany her, or if they kept Zarya down there and she started to take over those top spots because she's just that good. And Blake Monroe, what a steal for NXT. I don't know where AEW went wrong, but allowing her to walk and to come straight over to NXT, she's a good talent, and she's going to do a lot for that title. We'll see what Sol Ruka does with her speed title because she still does have that, but I don't know how bad that injury is. I think it was bad enough she couldn't be on Halloween Havoc, but I don't know if they can delay it a little bit on what's actually happening on speed. So that moved us to the women's world title where Tatum Paxley, along with the Culling, took on JC Jane, the incumbent champion, with Fallon Henley and Laney Reed. This was a really good match. I'll say it. Tatum came out of absolutely nowhere to be the number one contender. Absolutely, just out of nowhere to be number one contender. It's not unwarranted. She's been really putting in the work, but she wasn't one that you saw featured in such an elevated way up until she won to be the number one contender. I remember what I said. I thought JC was going to win because of the lack of building of it, but it wouldn't hurt my feelings, and I would actually be a little delighted to see Tatum Paxley win. Well, and new NXT Women's Champion Tatum Paxley. Congratulations to that young lady. Interesting the way it all played out towards the end. The two male members of the Culling and Sean Spears and Nico seemed to be overjoyed, where it looked like Izzy Dane was actually trying to hit her with the title, Tatum, and missed and hit JC, and that was the ultimate undoing. So we'll see how that played out this week on NXT. And then that left Dark State, which ended up being Osiris and Dion Lennox officially, versus the Broken Hardys in a broken rules match, which basically is just a no DQ. which maybe the Hardys should have thought out. I'll get into that in a minute. But this is for the NXT Tag Team Championship. Here's why they should have thought it out, because when you say no DQ, well, the other two members of Dark State can now hang out and be involved in the match as much as they want to. So this, in a way, was a 4-on-2. The Hardys were doing a good job of keeping them all at bay and really just slinging them all around. But in the end, 4-on-2, the four are just eventually gonna win. And so Dark State wins. They have the tag titles back. The Hardys will now go back to NXT. I mean, no, they will now go back to TNA, where they are tag team champions, and we will see how that goes from there. It was a good match. By far, though, match of the night might be Ricky Saints defending the NXT title against Trick Williams. I told you guys that I'm kind of I need more from Trick Williams. It seems like he's kind of getting comfortable where he is, and he's not mailing it in. He's still putting in the work, but just not vibing much the way I was when he really started to blossom and break out from Carmelo Hayes, when Carmelo got the call up. But I also had a good idea that Ricky Saints can be the face of NXT for a little while. There's a chance Trick gets called up. There's a couple names that have been rumored to potentially get called up, like Trick, like Oba, Last Legend, Tony D'Angelo. There's a handful of them that have been rumored. Once again, I don't read much of the dirt sheets. For one, it takes the fun out of it sometimes to me. I don't want to know everything that's going to happen. I would rather be surprised. But I've seen some articles and things released by credible people that might know something. And so, it'd be interesting to see what actually happens with that. But that was Halloween Havoc. I thought it was at least a 4, maybe 4.25, 4.25 out of 5. I thought it was a really good, solid show. There wasn't any moments where you just kind of like, yeah, it was okay. No, everything, they brought something different all the way across the board. They defended, I think, practically every title that they have. I think it is every title. So I really appreciated that. And so I want to see either those people that might get called up, or those people more incorporated into things. We'll see what that is moving forward. So let's go NWA Power. Last week, it starts off with The Loss, who Alexander Lev and Alex Misery. I'm becoming a big Alex Misery fan. That guy is, I would say chaos in a bottle, but that bottle broke a long time ago. He is organized chaos, and it is him and Lev make quite the tandem. They were able to take on Mikey Mondo and Slade with Aaron Stevens. Of course, Mondo and Slade ended up with the victory there, but Lev and Misery were the ones who put on the biggest show. I felt like I know some stuff on Mondo and Slade that I can't talk about because they were part of the NWA tapings that I went to in Atlanta a couple weeks ago. I can't tell you a lot of things that happened because it does involve them. But The Loss, man, I really, when you add Crazy Steve to it as well, I really enjoyed what they brought to the table. And that's not because I know Lev here locally, but man, they're a fun team, and I want to see what they do with them because they've got James Mitchell down there with them, and you've got, or the Sinister Minister, or whatever he goes by in NWA, but you've got Crazy Steve in there with them. That's a fun tandem. That's a really, really fun tandem. But good match. Kerry Morton defeated Dylan McQueen. Kerry Morton, somebody I would like to see here locally. I mentioned to a particular promoter a particular talent that he has that I would love to see Kerry Morton matched up with, and I hope he is the first one to book that match. I know he is going to work on some things, but we'll see what happens with that. But Kerry Morton is a really, really not only solid worker, he's got a lot of pizzazz to what he does. There's a word about the new generation doesn't know. He's got a lot of pizzazz to what he does. And I really appreciated a lot of the things he did in this match. He did some old school things that definitely he got from his dad and others, but it really still plays into in today's wrestling world. We got to see this. So Eric Small's take on Murdoch while Knox was handcuffed to the ring rope. This ended how you thought it did with Murdoch winning. I just don't see where they're going with it because Smalls is not really, he doesn't really have anybody to come defend him and do things like that. He got kicked out of there, out of the group with Knox and Murdoch. And I really, unless this is to introduce whoever the new challengers are going to be, but it seems like everybody's busy. So I really don't know who's going to challenge next for the tag title. It's just kind of in a weird spot. I kind of think back to I think back to the tapings and nothing with the tag titles happened. And there's a reason. There's a reason. Another thing I can't talk about, but there's a particular reason. But it is what it is with that. Um, this whole the stuff the vignettes they do in this game store. I don't know where this game store is, but I see Misery and Levin there all the time on these things. Tiffany Nieves and Valentina Rossi were in there along with that therapist. Things got a little sideways and weird with that, but I don't know. They like to use that game store. It reminds me of a GameStop, but it's just kind of a local game store as kind of the backdrop of where some of these stories are happening. Maybe some of you guys have been watching NWA longer than me because I've only been watching for a couple months now. Maybe you guys can give me a heads up as to what actually why it's in a game store or why it does whatever they're doing. But up next, we got to see Damian Fenrir take on Nick Swift. This was a really good match. Fenrir is fantastic. He is one of those kind of up and coming guys that the NWA is going to have to kind of put their claws into and try to hang on to him because I feel like there's going to be a little bit of a bidding war, and we'll see what actually happens with all that. But Fenrir, very very good. I really like that. Let's see. Okay. And then the main event, of course, was Tom Latimer, who defended his NWA Heavyweight Championship against El Dragon Neon. A few people in WWE would probably remember him. I don't remember who he was, what his name was in WWE, but there used to be two big dudes, big beards and everything in a tag team, and I think they were with Jinder Mahal, if I'm not mistaken, and they wrecked some people for I was like just really good and ran through them, and then they were both let go. But then at the end of that, after Tom Latimer's really good too. He's another one NWA trying to hang on to is going to be tough. But there was a melee at the end where about 2 dozen wrestlers came out and all just battle all over the place. But it was a good NWA power, man. Billy Corrigan and others are really running a great program right there, and I definitely enjoy it. Um, there was NWA 77 as well. I think that was the week before. I don't know if I talked about it. But you got to see Rich Swann versus Alex Taylor. Alex Taylor hanging out with the Thrillbilly and Kerry Morton as part of their faction. He retains his TV title. Primo and Epico Cologne come out. It's good to see them. Mondo did as well. Aaron Stevens, Carson Drake, and the Slime Balls all had a little vignette as well. Nightmare Sin, I believe was the name of them, came out, which was Austin Idol and Frank Zioni. They took on Blunt Force Trauma and the Slime Balls. And the Slime Balls are Sage Chance and Tommy Rant. And the Colognes, Epico and Primo. And the winner of this got to be the number one contenders for the tag titles, the ones I talked about. And Epico and Primo Congratulations on being the number one contenders. They were able to outlast all the other teams, the ones that were putting in some work, man. And I will. Oh, the slime balls. I thought the slime balls were really cool. I've seen them in a couple episodes now, and they do some really cool things. I ran into the North Side Heroes at the Mucha Lucha event that I went to, and I said, "Hey, have these two teams ever locked horns and had a program together?" And no, the answer to that's no. They said they were booked at one time to do it, and when they got there, they had redid the card, and so they didn't really get to match up or something like that. But Northside Heroes and the Slime Balls could be really fun. I know the Slime Balls are out of New York, so you would have to either find middle ground or you'd have to find them when they're in town. But I thought they did really good in the match, but in the end, it was the Colognes. Then the Pope come out, not not the religious Pope. Forgot. I think he just goes by the Pope. But he came out, got real passionate about some things, really fired some people up, which is good. I want to see what he's going to do moving forward. Because now that he's back with the NWA, I thought he was done with wrestling, and then all of a sudden he showed up there. So it's good to see the Pope back, and I do want to see what all he has going. And then Brian Idol defended his title against Joe Acasio, and of course, if Brian Idol successfully defends his title 7 times, he can cash that in for a world title shot. He is trying to do so. I think this is win number 3. I think so. But he was able to pull out the victory with that one. AEW Dynamite. The OPPs defended their Trios Championship against the Hurt Syndicate, which once again made no sense because why did you have the Demand go against the Hurt Syndicate if the Hurt Syndicate was just going to beat them? And then why would you have the Hurt Syndicate beat the Demand only for the OPPs to beat them? Didn't make any sense. And don't put them in a trios match because we don't need 9 people in the ring. And by the time you get, let's see, who? No, they really don't have managers, so you don't need those 9 people in the ring. You just don't. Bunch of backstage stuff, and then we got to see Willow and Harley versus Penelope Ford and Megan Bayne, along with Aminata and Hayter and Sky Blue and Julia Hart. This is actually where Penelope Ford hurt. I believe it's her PCL. She's going to be out for a little bit of the foreseeable future. She is officially injured and out. They put Marina Shafir in a tag match for the tournament coming up as her replacement. I think makes her team even a little scarier. Huh? But Penelope had just come off that big injury about a year ago. Had been doing some really good stuff. Her and Megan Bain's work had been fantastic. So, thoughts and prayers out to her for her recovery. But in the end, it was Hayter and Aminata who won that match. And so they got to pick their first round opponents. They picked Sky Blue and Julia Hart. So there will be a big tournament coming up soon where we're going to crown the first ever women's tag team champions. And I'll be honest, Penelope Ford and Megan Bayne were my choice to win it. But Megan Bayne and the Death Rider there, Marina Shafir, it'd be kind of hard to beat them too. What else was there? As far as matches, man, Kyle O'Reilly took on John Moxley, and of course, he was able to beat John Moxley, but it was by DQ. Um, because Moxley realized he was in trouble and he just decked the ref. And that's a good way to just go and get that one out of the way. But of course, then a melee ensued there. And then that led to Orange Cassidy, Roddy, and Mark Briscoe taking on Wheeler Yuta, Claudio, and Daniel Garcia. Pac came down for this one, so did Ishii. And then the melee with Kyle O'Reilly and Mox started again. And before you know it, the Death Riders had dropped everybody, and then they scurried off like they have been doing. Bandito versus Okada. was a really, really solid match. I really enjoyed that one. I'm wondering who's going to be the one to beat Okada. You would think Takeshita, but they've already matched up and he didn't beat him there. So what would change? No idea what just happened. Something went crazy over here. But what's it? Yeah, I don't know who's going to the one to beat Okada. He's kind of a one I'm a little curious on. Is I think it's going to be Takeshita, and then who is FTR actually going to put over? And I want to know who's going to work with the Young Bucks because to me the Young Bucks might be the best overall tag team in AEW, and it's fascinating the work they're putting in right now. So I'm really enjoying that. But other than that, that moves me to talking some Mucha Lucha ATL that was up at the Spacio Discoteca in Norcross. Had a fantastic time there. La Sangra Controversial are a fantastic team. We got to see Yabo and Ruffo, our favorite clowns. La Parca, Damas. No, wait, La Parca was on the last one. So was Iguana. This one was El Hio, Dr. Wagner Jr. LA Park was there. One day when you have a solid hour, look into why there's a La Parca and an LA Park. Promise you, it's a fascinating story. But look into those. Me and Impact Media, friend of the show, um, my brother and good my brother Jared and good buddy Albert were able to take in that one, and we got a little bit of a hookup on where our tickets were. We definitely shout out to Ricardo on that one. Um, we ended up very, very close and next to one of the most famous fans there because she makes her presence known every single show. But she is absolutely fantastic. They fought through the crowd. They fought all the way right next to us. Just incredible the way everything went. I don't know what that was either. But yeah, as I said, man, we always have a good time. Ricardo just puts on some great events there with MLA, and I look forward to the next one. I know he posted that he is doing some in November in Tampa and in I believe Columbia, South Carolina. You can follow either MLA or it's muchalucha.com or MLA or muchaluchaatl.com, or you can find him on all the social medias and he'll tell you all about those there. Look like incredible events. I promise you, if you can go to one of these, you definitely should. But that leads us to actually, if you're watching this on a Saturday, tonight's card, pull that up real quick. Where it's right there. Tonight's card for Premier All Star Wrestling. We are going to see. It's called Premier All Star Wrestling Deadly Alliances, where we are the main event is going to be Joe Black, who is a walking killer. Man, there's nobody that hits as hard as Joe Black. I promise you. And he's going to team up with Stevie Ray Frost, the about 14 or 15-month champion at this point, against Eddie Hendricks, who recently had a title match that didn't quite go his way because of a melee and some things in the end, and AJ Black, who is an up-and-coming performer who seems to find his way into some really high-profile matches. And we'll kind of see how this one goes. My actual pick, somehow Joe Black and Stevie Ray Frost are going to win. By hook or by crook, I don't know. I just have a feeling on it. We're also going to see Xander Seabolt take on Ashton Martin. Ashton Martin's really been tearing it up here recently, but Xander Seabolt is no pushover. Um, I'm going to go Xander Seabolt on it. Man, I'm going heel today for some reason. I'm going to go Xander Seabolt. going to find a way to win that one as well. He is a disciple of Stevie Ray Frost and part of their faction that they have going right now. De Silva, fresh off his heavyweight title win last weekend, I believe, is going to face Sean Nelson, the Southern Outlaw. Sean Nelson is really one of the faces of West Georgia wrestling, but De Silva, man, he is like a Taz. He is real powerful, just real low to the ground, and man, he can move. He's going to give Sean Nelson everything he can have. I'm going to actually say Sean Nelson wins this one, but it's going to push Sean to the end of the end of the earth there. Xander Horick is going to get another shot at a member of Greatness Inc. Well, he's already faced um, Chris Gaines. He has, I don't think he's faced anybody else. I think Chris Gaines was the last one he did. So he's not going to face him. I don't guess. He's not going to face the Devil Ryan Marks because I have it on good authority that Ryan Marks is not going to be here. He might face Lamar. God bless him. God bless him. God bless him if he takes on Lamar. But also scheduled to appear are the Wonder Boys, Aaron and Ethan Dallas, and Simon Thurman. So it's going to be really great. Hopefully we see you guys at the show. It's going to be a lot of fun people there. But we have reached the end of the show. So appreciate all you guys tuning in to a new great edition of A Strong Style. I am your host, Jeremy the Impact York. We will see you guys next week. Deuces, gooses. Go watch wrestling. Go watch fighting.